There is a famous letter written by Tolkien, numbered 52, in which the professor describes his politics to his son Christopher. In it, he mentions his dislike of government, his apparent affinity to anarchism, and his support of monarchy. From this, people have somehow put the label of anarchist on Tolkien himself, or the even more absurd anarcho-monarchist. This week on Ink and Fantasy, let's see how much of that is actually true. In the letter, Tolkien writes the following: "My political opinions lean more and more to anarchy, philosophically understood, meaning abolition of control, not whiskered men with bombs, or to unconstitutional monarchy. I would arrest anybody who uses the word state in any sense other than the inanimate realm of England and its inhabitants, a thing that has neither power, rights, nor mind, and after a chance of recantation, execute them if they remained obstinate. If we could get back to personal names, it would do a lot of good. Government is an abstract noun, meaning the end and process of governing, and it should be an offense to write it with a capital G, or so as to refer to people." Let us break down what Tolkien says and actually means in this quote. For starters, he makes a clarification himself. When he says he does not mean whiskered men with bombs, he is referring to those we typically imagine as anarchists, who believe in anarchist ideology itself. Generally speaking, anarchism seeks to abolish any institution that perpetuates a societal or political authority and hierarchy, primarily referring to those of the state and the capitalist economic system. It can find its seeds in the 19th and early 20th centuries amongst workers, and it played an instrumental role for numerous worker movements, as well as armed conflicts, such as the Russian and Spanish civil wars. Etymologically, it comes from the Greek anarchia, which literally means without a leader or a ruler. This movement became connected first to the French Revolution, and later with other leftist fears which involved socialism and communism. There is obviously many different types of anarchism, as well as schools of thought, as to how the anarchist goals can be achieved, in addition to what they are. There is revolution, there is also education, etc. The point is that, by and large, ideological anarchism during Tolkien's time had become affiliated with the far left, revolutionary politics, as well as collectivism. Bakunin, one of the most instrumental figures in anarchist political thought, believed that man created God, and by doing so, man had degraded himself. Anarchism became affiliated with militant atheism, and I think you can start to get a clear picture why Tolkien made a clear distinction between himself and actual modern-day anarchism. Therefore, he must have meant something else. From that same quote, we can begin to see what his problem is with modern politics and especially modern democracies. He sees the artificial correlation between the political entity that is the state and the concept of the people as incredibly dangerous. In the name of the people, you can use the state to do the worst and most oppressive things imaginable, and this is precisely what Tolkien is so afraid of. And this isn't something that far-fetched for the 1940s either, as you can imagine. The political entity, aka the authority, should not be worshipped, it should not be glorified, and it should not be mistaken for being the people. The people made the state, not the state the people. What makes England, England, therefore, is irrespective of the English or British state. Tolkien's anarchy, philosophically understood as he puts it, is that he is opposed to the overextension of the state's meddling, as it is the first step to tyranny. The anarcho-monarchism part comes from his support of what he calls unconstitutional monarchy, which, of course, was the traditional monarchical systems of Europe before the 19th century's wave of constitutionalism, and most importantly, the ancient system of the Middle Ages. These systems are largely how Tolkien's own kingdoms function in The Lord of the Rings. Feudal, meaning with a low centralized control, and therefore less means to impose totalitarianism. Unconstitutional, meaning theoretically absolute. The thing is, they could never have been absolute in an age where the nobility, the merchant classes, and the clergy all influence politics in their own way. The king was understood to be upholding the law of the land, and oftentimes the nobility would work to enforce this understanding. How could it be any other way as the defining trait of a political entity, such as a state, is its right and ability to exercise violence, which in those days was partly controlled by other nobles. Standing professional armies, of course, changed this, but I digress. To go back to Tolkien, what he means by the combination of anarchy and monarchy in the same paragraph isn't some internet ideology, but rather a different way to phrase what simply was medieval European governance. He continues on this thought, and he specifies his criticism on modern democracy, as well as the Prime Minister Winston Churchill, by saying, "If people were in the habit of referring to King George's council, Winston and his gang, it would go a long way to clearing thought and reducing the frightful landslide into theocracy. Anyway, the proper study of man is anything but man, and the most improper job of any man, even saints, who at any rate were at least unwilling to take it on, is bossing other men. Not 1 in a million is fit for it, and least of all those who seek the opportunity. And at least it is done only to a small group of men who know who their master is. The medievals were only too right in taking nolo episcopari as the best reason a man could give to others for making him a bishop. Give me a king whose chief interest in life is stamps, railways or racehorses, and who has the power to sack his vizier, or whatever you care to call him, if he does not like the cut of his trousers. And so on down the line. But of course, the fatal weakness of all that, after all, only the fatal weakness of all good natural things in a bad, corrupt, unnatural world, is that it works and has worked only when all the world is messing along in the same good old inefficient human way." His monarchism and traditionalism are well founded and obvious to see. You can see his distrust of democracy and mob rule, but at the same time he is well aware that no system is perfect, as the world itself has not been perfect since the fall. It is in the nature of humanity to be corrupt, to cheat, and to not do what is best for your fellow man. And this is yet another way he opposed traditional anarchism, as obviously the existence of human nature itself is a controversial matter, as well as the extent that our nature can be altered or improved for the betterment of the final anarchist society. If a base, fallen human nature exists, then the utopia cannot exist unless that human nature can somehow be overwritten. Later in the letter, Tolkien writes, "There's only one bright spot, and that is the growing habit of disgruntled men of dynamiting factories and power stations. I hope that, encouraged now as patriotism, may remain a habit, but it won't do any good if it is not universal." Here we get the seemingly most extreme of Tolkien's apparent anarchist tendencies. He is literally voicing his support for people bombing factories and hoping for this to become universal, something that reminds us of widespread class-based revolutionary violence. However, for anyone who knows Tolkien through primary sources and the words of his close ones, they would also know that Tolkien had a habit of wildly exaggerating in order to make a point. Keep in mind his wish to execute people in his first quote. His disgust of the modern world's industrialization and destruction of nature is clear, and he has a record of hating everything involving cars, roads, factories, and globalization. This is just his way to express it, in theme with the entire letter. After all, in the very beginning, he specifically said that he was not an anarchist like those who bomb things. And so, in the end, we have our conclusion. Tolkien was not an anarchist, not in the sense we imagine. He was also not an anarcho-monarchist, as that obviously neither existed as a concept, nor would it have made much sense to him. It is simply a term that may be used to describe something significantly older, a time in which the state, headed by the king, was largely absent due to the difficulty in enforcing a centralized will across a wide geographical space. And so, for Tolkien, the ideal system would involve a distant state with a distant unconstitutional monarch, whose duty would be the liberty of his subject and his kingdom, the preservation of their ancient way of life. The extent to which this could be done is, of course, controversial, and this is something that the professor himself recognized. If you'd like to support the channel and not miss out on future videos, please consider subscribing. You can also click the link on the right to become a channel member and get early access to all of my content.